We're joined by Alex Salmond from his constituency, or was his constituency in Gordon. Mr. Salmond, first of all, your own result. Do you think you've held on in Gordon?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, David. I feel we're some time away from a result yet. It's a very large rural constituency as well as a varied and urban one. So there's ballot boxes have to travel a long way in these parts, David.
What do you make of the net loss of 14 seats so far for the SNP?
Well, yeah, but that's off the tsunami of 2015, David. I don't think anybody expected that to be repeated. I mean, you know, I'm an old-fashioned type of politician. You're an old-fashioned type of interviewer. I reckon you win elections by winning more seats and more votes than any of the other parties, and it looks like the SNP will have more seats in Scotland than the unionist parties combined. On that measure, the SNP will win the election. But
on that measure, you call them the unionist parties, and they've made huge inroads into SNP's position. I mean, what were you, 56 at the last House of Commons?
Yeah, I think there's two things. One, I think what the opinion polls didn't see and political commentators was a late recovery in the Labour Party's fortunes. Ironically, that was based largely on people impressed by Jeremy Corbyn, many Yes supporters, incidentally, and ironically, again, that has cost the SNP some seats in our SNP Tory fights. But, you know, winning most seats, more than any other party, is right important in politics. I mean, Theresa May would love to be in a position just now that she could say she's going to win a majority of seats across the UK. So, given that the SNP looks like we might well have done it again in Scotland, I think you have to accord the SNP some credit, despite losing many fine parliamentary colleagues.
And does it make a second independence referendum more or less likely? What's happened in Scotland tonight?
Well, I think there will be a second independence referendum. It's a question of timing, because another irony, a third irony in politics is this SNP group, although smaller, will be going into a parliament where it looks like at this stage it's going to be very influential indeed. And that influence will be used on behalf of Scotland and on behalf of Scottish democracy and to defend the Scottish Parliament. And that's right and proper. People in Scotland have the right to expect if they elect SNP MPs in large number, then they'll turn out to be influential in the next Parliament. That looks like it's what's going to happen, David.
But you don't yet know, of course, what's going to... I hope you can hear me all right. You don't yet know what's going to happen over Brexit. I mean, we know that, you know, you wanted to remain in the EU. That may still be possible, I suppose, if Parliament is in total confusion. Do you think there's a chance of the SNP getting a better hearing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, in a balanced Parliament, we'd be in a position of great influence, and obviously we'd seek to see if there's a progressive alternative to Tory rule. But, I mean, let's talk plainly. If there is no Conservative majority, Theresa May will not be Prime Minister within the next, 48 hours. You couldn't possibly survive having called an election unnecessarily to win a big majority, fail to do it, and then continue as Prime Minister. I mean, Boris Johnson's already on manoeuvres. Doesn't surprise me, not from what I know about Boris Johnson, and certainly doesn't surprise me given the glaring deficiencies of Theresa May, which have been exposed in the general election campaign. So the SNP will use a position of substantial influence to get the best deal we can for Scotland and to make sure we don't fall off that Brexit cliff edge which Theresa May was careering the country towards.
What do you make of what she said at Maidenhead? I don't know whether you caught it, but she said if we have the largest number of seats and the largest popular vote, our responsibility, our duty is to ensure stability. That didn't suggest she was thinking of quitting any time soon.
Sounded like bravado to me, but then, of course, consistency of position over any length of time, even over a matter of hours, has not been one of the hallmarks of Mrs May over recent weeks. I mean, manifesto positions get reversed in an instant. So this declaration that I shall continue regardless of the verdict of the people is total nonsense. I mean, it isn't clear, David, across the UK who has won this election. That's certainly true. But it's very, very clear already who has lost the election, and that is the Prime Minister, and she should face the consequences.
Alex Salmond, thank you very much.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.